Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards, and I am over here just starting to work on some more foundation pages, get a few more ideas into my album before December starts. I'm going to be doing something similar to what I did last year, where I'll have some things filled in and then space for other ideas as they may come during the actual month itself. So I have a combination of product play and prep day ideas in here and other ideas. I'm just getting super excited. One of the first ones I want to do is I want to use this paper. This is from our prompt paper pack this year, and I want to actually put this inside of a pattern paper. So I'm going to use the green with gold outline and the white stars on it, and this is essentially then will get punched and added into the album. This will be a story that's probably later in the month. It may be, like 21, 22, maybe something like that, where it can have a bunch of little stories over the course of the month. Maybe they will be smaller images of things that I've already put in the album, or they will be some combination of, December details from around the house. But I want to have it a little bit later in the month so that it can be a space to hold those kinds of photos. So you can see that I've already folded this one. I measured it. Let's see, actually, and I think it's a little bit of a different size because I wanted it to go right down the edge. So it's just a little bit less than 7 inches. Most of the time the pages that I do in a 6x8 are 7 inches wide by 8.25 tall, but this is going to be just a little bit shorter just because I wanted it to fold along one of these lines. So like I said, I'm going to adhere this in here, and one of the things that I'm going to do first before I adhere it is I think I want to fold that other paper. So in order to do that, I was going to line my ruler up with the edge of that other photo and then use a bone folder, if I can find my bone folder, to go down along the edge and fold this around the outside. So let's see what we get here. All right. Fold that over, essentially just making a home for this to be tucked right inside. That looks pretty good. Just seeing I might need to trim a little bit off. So then what I have here is I have space left over here. So the question becomes, do I want to add a little something along the edge there? Do I want to, do I want to see it when I open it up? Where do I want this to go? And what else would I want to do along the side? So you could do ribbon along here. You could do some of the big word strips, or maybe one of these guys. I've got to decide where I want to use these. If you did something like this, then you could actually do gold foil on the back side. But I also want to think about what else might I want to put on here. Again, I don't know what day this is going to be yet, so I don't have a specific sentiment or a specific number to add on there. And that's sometimes why I'm just doing a little bit in advance, like kind of getting it ready, so that it could hold something later on. This might be cool, something like one of these big circles that could go on either side here. These are from that big die cut pack. Something like that, or I could punch a new circle out to make it along the edge there too. You could leave it so that you could stamp something there. Trying to think through a little bit, just playing around. Other things that you could add in between. You could add a transparency. Maybe one of the, you could use something from the transparency pack like this. That would be kind of fun. In this case too, I need to make sure that I leave the space because the holes are going to get punched over here. So it may work better to do something else. But I kind of like the idea too of that maybe it would be an organic cut, and cut off these ones that are going along the edge. I'm thinking. Other things that could be like a page turner. This one actually I wanted to put aside because I've got something else with some hearts that I'm considering doing. Ooh, there's this one too. This would be too, but this one I might want to use on something else. So this is part of what's fun about getting your stuff out now, is then you can kind of look at it and go, okay, where else might I use this? Like, the reminder to myself is that I would love to have it out along the edge, and maybe there'll be a photo right there. I have a couple pages that are a little narrower, but I think that they're going to be too, yeah, that would stick outside of the album. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one, though, is I'm going to get a sticky note, and I'm going to put it on there and say, use this on the outside edge of a photo page. One of these, I just want to see, again, I'm just kind of playing around. But I even some sort of layers of something. Or ribbon. That's the other thing that I could cut out the joy and add that on there, along there. All right, so diving into the actual construction, I gave myself a little bit of time to think it through a little bit. Here I am adding rolling adhesive first, and I'm going to add in the first half of the page, or the first portion before the fold there. Get it all dialed in the right place. You know, that means pulling it up and putting it back down again often. That's how we roll. Don't worry about that. It'll be okay. All right, so we got the folded over part there, and I had taken some time to think a little bit more about what I wanted to do on there, and I'm going to do something that's a little bit similar to what I did on my welcome page or my intro page this year. You'll see that in a few minutes. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm using a little bit of red line tape inside of or on top of the prompt paper, because I'm going to lay this palm trim on top. In some video recently, maybe it was in our prep day, I pulled out, maybe it's prep day or product play, I can't remember, but I've pulled out this palm trim a couple times so far this season and haven't used it yet. So I'm finally using it now. I am going to add red line tape to the other side. So essentially it's sitting right inside of those two pattern papers. I did end up needing to trim along the outside edge just a little bit to make it fit correctly. It's always a little tricky when you're doing adhesive with paper like this and trying to get it in exactly the right spot, but I feel like I did a fairly decent job. I'm going to use red line tape again for that portion of the adhesive. Like I was saying briefly a few minutes ago, I decided to kind of do something that was repeated from my title page, and you'll see that here in a minute, where I'm using the circle tag, and then I'm going to use a 2-inch circle punch to punch out one of the sentiments from the specialty journal card pack, so the part that was letter pressed, and you'll see that in a second. I'm trimming off the edges there. I've got that nice flap. I've done multiple pages so far this year in all the little things that I've done that are 10 by 8 pages folded to go in the 6 by 8, and I'm loving that. I love that. I just like the look of it. I like how you can have those bigger pages spread out. I also ran that through the sewing machine. Not necessarily, you don't have to do it, but I did it because I like the little bit of red stitching on there. Now here's where I'm doing the layered circles. So that color wheel right there is a part of the advent calendar this year. So if you got the advent calendar, you're going to come across that at some point. Here's where I'm using my 2-inch circle punch to punch out the word grateful, and that is going to get layered on top of one of the circle tags, which is then going to get layered on top of the color wheel. So I did something similar with one of the word journal cards there for my title page. I'm going to use red line tape to adhere this down on there. This page will likely, like I might have said already, go on be later in the month, probably in the 20s, story number 20, so that I can add photos and words directly onto those little squares. Quick and easy. Let's get this done. Here comes December.